Well, we are back with another grade one event in the 3-year-old division, the Glamour division. It is the Haskell Invitational at Monmouth Park, race 12 of a 14 race program. Scott, I can tell you one thing here in the Northeast. It is hot, very hot, and it will continue to be this weekend. So good luck to everybody participating in the Haskell. They got a nice field for this race. They got an 8-horse field. There's some interesting angles. And you can make the argument that with Jack Christopher, they might have the best 3-year-old in training right now as well.
Without question, this race came up a lot of fun this year, even with two heavy favorites to an extent, and then the rest of the field. It's hot here in Kentucky too, Darin, so don't feel too bad, or you're not the only one getting it. Although I did interview with Andrew Brown out at Del Mar earlier today, and yeah, I'm jealous. Anyway, Jack Christopher and Taba are the headliners in here, and deservingly so. Taba hasn't been seen since the underwhelming effort in the Kentucky Derby, which is somewhat forgivable with that lack of experience. He's been freshened up, now back in the hands of trainer Bob Baffert, who's had a lot of success in this race. But to me, it's Jack Christopher's race to lose. I know this horse isn't bred to get 2 turns, but he seems to be an absolute freak. And while there's a lot of speed signed on in this race, I'm not convinced that he absolutely needs the lead to be at his best. Sure, stretching out the 2 turns, trying the 9 furlongs for the first time there, and he'd be better off with a loose and lonely lead. But he's shown the ability to settle at 1 turn, and if he needs to settle from his outside draw just off the pace, I think he can do so. I'm really looking forward to seeing him run despite his short price.
I totally agree with everything you said. It was interesting on Twitter, a lot of discussion about the morning line. People were kind of up in arms that Taba was the 7-5 morning line favorite and Jack Christopher was the 3-2 second choice. First and foremost, Brad Thomas is one of, if not the best odds makers in the country. He's basically telling you that he was of the opinion that it's a coin flip. I mean, they're that close. You can't make 2 horses any closer than 7-5 and 3-2. I tend to agree that Jack Christopher is going to be favored here, but I do understand the Bob Baffert factor. You obviously have to agree as well that Jack Christopher goes off favored.
I do agree. I think Jack Christopher should have been the favorite. All of us make mistakes, not holding it against anyone, particularly in Brad Thomas, who is one of the best in the biz. I am surprised he made that move, though, and I do respect Taba's ability quite a bit, but Jack Christopher makes the case, if he wins this race convincingly, that he is the best 3-year-old in the land, and people might think that already, but I know you have interest in going a little bit outside the 2 favorites here.
Yeah, I'm just going to pose the one thing with Jack Christopher. He's had 4 starts, and you can make the case that in each of those 4 races, he's literally had the best trip in horse racing, 4 consecutive starts, sitting second off speed, pouncing, being the best horse in the race, and drawing clear. What happens if he ever gets into a race 2 turns for the first time, 1.8 for the first time, where maybe that doesn't happen? Maybe he's sitting 4th and he's got to make up a little bit more ground. Maybe he's got to make a move 3 wide that he hasn't made before while going longer. Those are just questions that you have to factor when you're going to have to take a favorite. I went with White Abarrio. I actually think out of between him and Cyberknife, I think he might even go off a little bit longer than Cyberknife as well. I think Cyberknife has a little bit of buzz with the players. White Abarrio did nothing wrong in the Ohio Derby. He was in a good spot. He ran on well to be second behind Tawny Port, who's a nice horse. He's second race back off about a 6-week freshening. So I think the horse is going to come into this race well. Picks up Joel Rosario off of the last couple of starts. So that's an interesting move to get Rosario on board. I think if things got a little bit crazy, if Jack Christopher got a really tough trip, if Taiba had to go fast early, I think White Abarrio is the next most likely winner in the field. And that's why I selected him.
Well, if you're playing horizontal wagers on Twin Spires at Monmouth Park, it'll be a major separator, 5-1 or higher or lower, White Abarrio, because a lot of people will single, a lot will go 2 deep. My problem is one, I think he should have won that race. Tawny Port is a very nice and up-and-coming horse, but he's not the likes of Taba and Jack Christopher. So that, to me, he got a perfect trip and was unable to outkick Tawny Port. That's a little concerning. To me, if they go at it early, it feels like Taba is going to be the one that takes advantage. Speaking to Cyberknife and Howling Time real quick, horses I'm obviously very familiar with from being here at Churchill Downs. Underwhelming performance by Cyberknife. You can credit Howling Time all you want, but I thought Cyberknife was an extremely likely winner in the Matt Win, had everything the way you would have wanted it, and really struggled to get by. Now, these two have to deal with the speed of Jack Christopher and some other cheaper speeds. I just don't see the scenario where they break through. And the rail for me with Cyberknife is a real problem. This is a horse that's still struggling to figure things out mentally. He likes to be outside. I think Cyberknife will be a great toss if, like you said, he takes some support.
Yeah, that's a great point. The mental aspect of the game with him, we saw it kind of unravel for him in Arkansas earlier on in his career. This is a horse, or in the Kentucky Derby, I should say. This is a horse that I think needs to be moving to the outside of horses. I don't think being stuck down inside is going to do him any good for Florent Geroux. The race came back quick from a Ragozin standpoint, so I'm sure some of the Ragozin players are going to like that. But these horses were 1-2 around the racetrack. I don't see that playing out here. So then you have to try to figure out what kind of trip they're going to fall into. And out of the two, I think Howling Time is probably more likely to get a better trip if he doesn't need the lead, which is something that we don't know. But I think both of them are up against it. And if they take money, they would kind of be a fade for me.
I'm with you 100%, but Cyberknife more than Howling Time, because I think Howling Time will be a pretty good price and maybe could hang around. To me, Cyberknife, very, very capable when he's got things his way against the right competition. But when anything goes wrong and things aren't perfect, he struggled. And even last time in the Matt Win, I thought he should have won a lot more convincingly.
It's another big 3-year-old event. It's the Haskell Invitational. Scott on Jack Christopher, who I yield is definitely the horse to beat and the most likely winner. I'll try to slip a fast one by everybody with number 6, White Barrio, getting Joao Rosario for the first time. Be sure to watch and wager on the Haskell and all the great racing all weekend long with us at Twin Spires. And don't forget, this is a Breeders' Cup win and you're in stake event. We'll be with you for the next 4 months to go through all of these Breeders' Cup prep races and start to target some of these horses leading up to that great weekend of racing at Keeneland. So be sure to come back each and every week and pay attention to what we have to say on the Breeders' Cup win and you're in. Thanks so much for joining us, Scott Shapiro, Darin Zoccali. Until next time, we'll see you soon at Twin Spires.